Hi, everyone, I'm Dan Abrams, and this is Court Cam.
Leave the jury to find the defendant.
Don't touch me like that.
Come back to me right now.
We kick things off in Utah at the 4th Judicial District Court in Spanish Fork. A judge is presiding over arraignments. This is when a defendant appears in court to hear the charges against them and plead guilty or not guilty. Off to the side, 35-year-old Christopher Clay Rudd is awaiting his turn. Rudd's in court for failing to follow through on court-ordered drug treatment. He's restrained with handcuffs, but has no shackles on his legs. The courtroom has a bailiff and several officers. A lawyer heads over to speak with the bailiff, and then exits the court with 2 officers. At the same time, another officer heads out of the courtroom. A woman from the gallery has walked up and is now speaking to the bailiff. None of this goes unnoticed. A warning here. What you're about to see is disturbing. Rudd just fell 18 feet onto a solid marble floor, the equivalent of jumping head first out a second-story window, in handcuffs. Take a look from the security camera in the front lobby. This bailiff instinctively tries to catch the defendant, just missing him. Imagine trying to catch a 160-pound sack dropped from an 18-foot height. That could be deadly. Rudd is bleeding from his head, but seems responsive. Back in the courtroom, the judge keeps everything under control. Paramedics arrive minutes later and rush him to a nearby hospital. He has a broken leg and pelvis and a fractured skull. For this escape attempt, Christopher Clay Rudd is sentenced to 36 months probation. Joining me now is the bailiff that you saw there on that video trying to catch him, Patrick Nielsen. Thanks very much for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So take us back to that split second. You're looking up and you're thinking what?
Holy crap. So initially I didn't see that it was an inmate. I thought it was a kid. We have a lot of kids that play. Yes.
And what did he say to you when he fell and he's lying there right next to you?
So initially he wanted to get up. You saw in the clip, my knee was actually on his shoulder. He wanted to stand up. I put my knee on his shoulder to keep him down.
Because at this point you realize he's an inmate.
Yeah. And he was hurt. And so, you know, he's complaining about the pain. And then I said, you know, why did you do that? What the hell? And he goes, I'm sick of this. I can't deal with this anymore. I'm a disappointment to my family.
Do you think if you actually had gotten under him that you would have been injured?
Yes. So my sergeant actually showed up, and the first thing that he said is, good job, but don't do that again. I don't need you hurt.
Yeah.
So yeah, potentially I could have been hurt myself.
It is possible that you saved his life, though, because he actually fell on your boot.
Yeah, as we were reviewing the camera footage after it, we stopped it at just the right point of impact, and his head actually was over the top of my boot. Definitely shocking.
Patrick Nielsen, thank you very much for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sir, I'm giving you 175 years, which is 2,100 months. I've just signed your death warrant.
This man is former USA gymnastics doctor and convicted serial pedophile Larry Nassar. Once a world-renowned sports physician who treated elite female Olympic athletes and hundreds of hopeful young gymnasts. He's now a disgraced former doctor who will spend the rest of his life behind bars for the sexual abuse of countless young women.
As much as it was my honor and privilege to hear the sister survivors, it is my honor and privilege to sentence you.
As part of Nassar's plea deal, survivors of the abuse are allowed to give a victim impact statement.
I would like to say something to my abuser, Larry Nassar. You took advantage of my innocence and trust. You broke and shattered a lot of girls.
And I cannot sleep because of what you have done.
More than 150 women over a 2-week period accuse him of abusing his position of power to molest them.
And I said, Chelsea, I was right there in the room. And she goes, you couldn't see what was going on, Mom. And she said, he hurt me. She took her own life because she couldn't deal with the pain anymore. She was 23 years old.
This is Randall Margraves. 3 of his daughters are among the survivors. 2 of them speak in court with their family nearby.
I really feel that my entire family has gone through hell and back these last few months because of what Larry Nassar did to both my sisters and I years ago. Nothing can ever be done to undo what you did to my sisters and me and my friends. But you thought that since you were a doctor, that you would never have to pay the price. And that you could just do the things you did because of your...
The request.
Judge Widow, this drop father have a chance to say something.
Go ahead, sir.
You
No, we don't want to swear.
I would ask you to, as part of the sentencing, to grant me 5 minutes in the locked room with this demon.
I have
Would you do that?
that is not
Yes
how
or
our...
no?
No, sir, I
Would
can't.
you give me 1 minute?
You know that I can't do that. That's not how our legal system...
Just relax. Sit up. Get on your side. Sit up.
3. 1, 2, 3, up. What does this have to you guys?
I understand Mr. Margaret's frustration, but please cannot behave like this.
You haven't lived through a lady.
Cannot behave like this. This is letting in.
I could give you a jail sentence. I could fine you up to $7,500. I don't want to do that. The Attorney General did share with me that you heard things today on the record that you didn't know before. I can see that absolutely creating an anger and a rage so great that any parent would want to do physical harm. So I understand that.
No charges are filed against Randall Margraves. Nassar sent to federal prison in Arizona to serve out his sentence, but was transferred to a maximum security prison after he was attacked when released to general population. We go now to the Kent County Courthouse in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and the sentencing of Ellis Nelson Ortiz Nieves for the murder of his girlfriend's 4-year-old son, Giovanni Mejas.
You had put cigarettes out on this poor little child. There was evidence of that from the pictures. The bruises, some of the bruises were in the shape of a belt buckle.
I ain't gonna let you sit here say no crazy about me, man. No, man, you don't even know, man.
During the trial, the prosecution claimed the death was non-accidental and most likely the result of abuse.
This injury is inflicted with blunt force from an adult individual.
The defense countered the injuries could have been caused by the boy's older brother, even bringing the boy's mother, Sonia Hernandez, to the stand to describe how her older son would bully the younger one.
Sock him, push him. He was just mean to him.
Did you ever witness Nelson physically discipline the kids?
Never.
But the jury didn't buy it.
Belt buckle.
I ain't gonna let you sit here say no crazy about me, man. No, man, you don't even know, man.
Sir, the testimony showed that you put this child and other child in a shower with ice cold water. Anybody says anything back there? This is a 4-year-old child that was victimized. There is no question in my mind, sir, that you did this. You are the lowest form of human life that I've been able to observe or see. You are a monster, and quite frankly, you are evil.
He's sentenced to life in prison without parole, still maintaining his innocence. Then 6 months later, a bombshell.
My first charge is perjury. I lied under oath for a man who I thought loved and cared for me.
After an investigation, Sonia Hernandez is charged with second-degree child abuse and lying on the stand for Ortiz Nieves.
Failure to protect my children and blaming a sibling on a sibling. Your Honor, signing my rights off was the hardest and most difficult decision I had to make. And I have to live with the fact that I failed my children. Your Honor, what you decide to give me is nothing compared to what I have been through. I wanted to apologize to my family.
She's sentenced to 57 months to 10 years behind bars.
Thank you, Your Honor.
It's 11:07 a.m. in the Lorain Municipal Court in Lorain, Ohio. The court's empty after a busy morning, and a security officer's making his usual rounds. He comes across something unusual. A small bag filled with some kind of powder. He's not entirely sure what it is. So he has it tested. It turns out to be cocaine. So that's before the bag appears on the floor. And this man steps up to the gate. Watch closely as he moves his hat. One more time. A warrant immediately issued for Lamar Reed's arrest. Reed was in court on 2 traffic violations, driving under a suspended license and speeding. He now faces a 5th-degree felony charge and a max of a year in prison. Okay, now let's head to the Wadsworth Municipal Courthouse in Ohio. Judge Stephen McIlvaine is sentencing 29-year-old Jeremy Vance for receiving stolen property. During his sentencing, Vance is not handcuffed, and there's no armed bailiff in the courtroom during this hearing.
Really relieved to try to get this all behind me.
Well, I'm ready to give you 90 days.
Vance is now supposed to return to a holding cell, but he decides to go another route.
No, you gotta come with me.
Sir,
come on! Hey!
Call him, please.
He's gone.
Yeah, call him, please.
I am.
It might seem like the bailiff is acting a little casually here, considering the circumstances, but the court knows everything about Vance due to his criminal record, his address, his phone number, who he hangs out with, everything. And within an hour, he's apprehended near his home and returned to custody, with an additional 6 months of prison time added to his sentence. And there may be another reason they decided not to immediately pursue Vance, having to do with a similar event that happened in the same courtroom just 6 months earlier.
I'm sorry for, acting immature on the road. I understand that, being on the road, you do have other people's lives in your hand. And, I should have thought about that.
When defendant Cyrus Matthews was there on misdemeanor charges stemming from a road rage case.
As well as is there any way that we can reverse this jail time?
Well, you're going to go to jail today. You need to get out to attend the hearing when you consider for those. Okay, but right now you're going to go to jail. Okay? So you have to go today, right? Hey, call it, please. You have charge of escape, felony escape, or you have to act to get back to this court.
Matthew's girlfriend follows him out. There seems to be a moment of hesitation here on Matthew's part. We now know it's the bailiff trying to reason with him, explaining that his escape will lead to felony charges. To no avail. Now, the Wadsworth police take over. Matthews is way ahead, reaching speeds of up to 90 miles an hour. Now police are in pursuit. 1928. Officer James Walzer is receiving updates.
I saw him turn north onto Lyman from Maple. He was in an older gray four-door vehicle.
Well, yeah, he's not. He's running red lights at Hartman, passing on the right at Williams Reserve. My speed's 90, trying to catch up. Wadsworth, I think we're going to have a 2. We're going to have a code 2 at Akron, 76.
Matthews has crashed into a white SUV, seen just off the road there.
Where's he at?
That's Matthews' car there.
All right, we're going to have multiple vehicles, airbag deployment. Sam, are you okay? Okay.
The passengers are a couple and their infant child.
Okay, all right, we got squads coming.
Thankfully, they have non-life-threatening injuries.
Ashley, help them get out! Help them get out! He's up here!
Officer Walzer hustles over towards Matthews' car across the road.
Breathe in and out. Wadsworth, I'm gonna need multiple squads. I need help, sir. Okay. Okay, sit tight.
You can hear that Matthews realizes he's made a truly horrible decision.
What was going on? Why were you taking off?
You're trying to lock me up for 90 days and I have a whole life.
So what happened? Why?
Matthews and his girlfriend are extracted by the Wadsworth Police Department and taken to the hospital. Matthews is charged with aggravated felonious assault for injuring his girlfriend and the occupants of the other vehicle. He's sentenced to 425 days in jail. His girlfriend is not charged. Joining me now is the bailiff that you saw there on that video. Sharon Ray, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
What were you saying to him to try to get him not to leave?
Dan, what we were trying to say is just don't make a permanent decision based on temporary circumstances. And I told him if he went back into the courtroom, it was going to be okay. But a felony follows you for life.
To go back to the courtroom.
I thought I had him, but the girlfriend came out of the courtroom, and when she did, he said, "Come on, let's go," and she followed him. And I remember saying to her, if you care for him at all, you'll get him back in there. And they didn't stop. They ran for the car and took off.
Why was it such a bad idea for him to run?
Because he would have gone to jail for 60 days, and because of what he did, he ended up being convicted of aggravated felonious assault, and he went to jail for 425 days.
He probably wishes that he had listened to you.
I think he does. I wish he'd listened to me, too.
Was his girlfriend injured?
She was injured. She was in the car with him. I believe they did use the jaw of life to get her out, and she did have some surgeries. And I have not kept up on where she is now or what she's doing.
You don't know
or if she still is.
I was just going to ask you, do you know if they're still together?
I do not. I'm sure it put a dent in the relationship.
Sharon Ray, thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate it. That's it for this edition of Court Case. Thanks for watching. See you next time.